What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. In today's video, we'll be featuring the new Hecaton cards that were revealed over the course of the last couple of weeks. The first one being the E-Bell, and I'll read it over right now as it reads. If this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. You can only use each of the following effects of E-Bell once per turn. You can reveal this card in your hand, shuffle it into the deck, then special summon one Hecaton monster from your deck in defense position, except E-Bell. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Hecaton monster in your graveyard, except E-Bell, special summon it. So we're going to continue this one by using the effect of E-Bell, and you'll notice throughout the video I decided to use these cards as an engine rather than a full deck, and I'll explain later on why. Hecaton Brius is a level 7 illusion monster that reads, if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. You can only use each of the following effects of Brius once per turn. If a card is added to your opponent's hand except during the draw phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you'll notice that's a recurring theme throughout some of the monsters in this archetype, but during your main phase, you can look at one random card in your opponent's hand, and if it is a monster, you can special summon it to your field. So there is some RNG throughout the level 7s in this deck. We're going to continue here by using the effect of Bria, special summoning out our opponent's monster from hand, and then we can go into our next new card. This is the Hecaton Jaza. It's a fusion monster, also illusion, that takes one Hecaton monster plus one illusion monster, and must either be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by tributing one illusion monster and one face-up monster you control owned by your opponent. During your main phase, you can add one Hecaton card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only use this effect of Jaza once per turn. If this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. So this is why I feel like this set of cards is meant to be more of an engine rather than a full deck. We only have two fusion monsters, one of them happens to be a searcher and the other one is an end board piece. We also have a limited amount of starters and stuff, as you'll see momentarily, but we're going to continue here by using the effect of Jaza, as we're going to get ourselves the copy of the Hecaton counter trap. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but it reads, when your opponent activates a monster effect and you control a Hecaton monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. Then you can special summon it to your field. You can only activate one of these counter traps per turn. Now keep in mind there is another counter trap that negates spell and traps, and I believe you also have to control a Hecaton monster, and I'm going to show some more things that you can do with that, actually in the third combo, which if you already know what these cards do, I feel like that's the combo that you guys want to watch. Now, for the second combo, I want to show off the Nightmare Apprentice alongside any discard, and we're going to start here by activating the Apprentice. We'll use its effect in order to get ourselves the copy of E-Bell, and now we have access to pretty much a lot of what we did before, but this time around, I do want to go over the weakness this deck has to Charmies, regardless of its ability to special summon after your opponent adds a card, and I understand that that may have been a deciding factor into putting these type of effects in. If your opponent adds a card, you can special summon it, especially after something like E-Bell plays so hard into the Charmies. But unfortunately, because of what we have available to us right now, I just think that that's going to be a problem until we get more new cards or the Charmies just get hit. But we're going to continue to combo off going into our Jaza. We're then going to use the effect of Jaza, as I didn't read the Gygus or Gigas over here. It's another level 7 that reads, if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by battle. You can only use each of the following effects of Gigas once per turn. If a card is added to your opponent's hand except during the draw phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. You can special summon one excavated monster. Also, shuffle the rest back. Just another way to get a potential opponent's monster onto your field so that you can go into this or make some link plays. But finally, we have the Hecaton Goddess, and this is the last of the main deck monsters that I'll be showing in the combos. There's one more main deck monster that I'm not playing, and I'll go over why later on, but Goddess reads, if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by battle. You can only use each of the following effects of Goddess once per turn. If a card is added to your opponent's hand except during the draw phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field, but banish it when it leaves the field. So the only one that happens to be a quick effect can be kind of a hand trap. That said, it's still sort of like a bestial where you're taking something from your opponent's graveyard. It's not going to be a staple 3 of until we get more to supplement this archetype, I think, and maybe will never be a 3 of, depending on the format, of course. Something like Tier can come around, hitting the graveyard becomes really good, and so on. But going into our copy of the Close Moon, and now because we have the 2 monsters, we can just Fiendsmith combo, as we're going to continue to give our opponent a lot of cards, as you'll see here. And this is one of the choices that you have to make with the archetype, unfortunately, where you don't really have a lot of strong endboard pieces. Jaza is one of your two fusion monsters. The other things that you have in your hand aren't necessarily, or the other monsters that you have within the main deck for the archetype aren't necessarily going to help you push for game, and they're just going to get you into things, which is ultimately why I chose to keep it as a engine rather than a full deck. But we're going to use the effect of the Engraver in order to bring itself back, go into the Caesar, and with this, we'll be able to end on the two interruptions via the Caesar alongside the Goddess, even though we did give our opponent a million cards if they do have the Charmies. Now, for this final combo, and this is my favorite combo of them all because it really changes the way that Chimera can play, shows how strong of an engine this can actually be, in my opinion. So we're going to start here by activating the copy of the little snake here. I forgot its name, the Cornfield. And we're going to continue by adding ourselves the copy of Mirror Swordsman. From here, we can then normal summon the Mirror Swordsman, use its effect, and instead of getting ourselves the Baphomet, we're actually going to get ourselves the Claws. This is very important because you don't want to lock yourself into fusion summoning. So we're going to continue here by using the effect of Claws, getting ourselves the Chimera Fusion, and now we can use the Ebel's effect in order to get ourselves the copy of the Brius or Gigas, whatever you want to go for, as we'll use the effect of Brius in order to snipe a card from our opponent's hand, special summon it, go into our Jaza, use the effect of Jaza. Jaza will now add our next new card. This is the Hecatoncheire. It's a quick play that reads, activate one of these effects, but you can only use each effect of Tartarus once per turn. If you control a Hecaton monster, target one spell trap your opponent controls, return it to the hand. The other effect reads, fusion summon one Hecaton fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing materials from your field and or graveyard. If you use a face-up monster you control owned by your opponent, you can treat it as a Hecaton monster. And this is a really cool card because it gets you into that end board piece that I was talking about, but it's also something that you can save for your opponent's turn, have multiple use cases, though admittedly it's not the best thing to draw. But from here we're now going to activate the Chimera Fusion, and then we're going to go into our copy of the Baphomet. And this is important here because now we can use the effect of Claws Chainlink 1, Baphomet Chainlink 2. Baphomet will now be able to send away the Ebel. The Ebel has that effect that can special summon a Hecaton back. And now we can get ourselves the Claws effect in order to get ourselves the Apprentice. We'll then be able to resolve the effect of Ebel as we're going to special summon back the Jaza. So if you do happen to have a counter trap, you'll have Jaza on board. But from here, we're going to get ourselves the effect of the Chimera Fusion so that we can get that back to hand, and then special summon out the Nightmare Apprentice, use the effect of the Nightmare Apprentice in order to get ourselves the Goddess. Now we can link away into the Closed Moon, go into our copy of Requiem, use the effect of Requiem. We'll then be able to special summon out the Lacrima, use the effect of Lacrima. The Lacrima will then be able to send away the Engraver, and from here we can use the Requiem, and we're basically just doing the regular Fiendsmith stuff as we're going to get access into our Caesar after we special summon the Engraver, and now we can set the copy of the Hecaton quick play go onto our opponent's turn, and at any point during your opponent's turn, obviously it doesn't have to be now, we're going to be able to activate the quick play. This will give us the ability to fusion summon away, and I would like to also mention, you see us banish the Jaza, you don't have to. You can activate the quick play after special summoning Goddess, and then use the Goddess effect to steal something from the graveyard during your opponent's turn, and then once you fuse it away, you would even have the Chimera or the Baphomet effect in order to special summon it back to your field if you wanted to. But we're going to then go into our next new card, and this is the Xeno. It takes 3 Hecaton monsters, and if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. You can only use each of the following effects of Xeno once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, you can look at 2 random face down cards in your opponent's extra deck, and if you do, you can special summon one of them to your field. If this fusion summon card in its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can take control of any number of monsters they control. So a very powerful card that can potentially get you into a crazy extra deck monster, or potentially stop your opponent from playing depending on what you get. But we're going to continue here by using the effect of Baphomet. Again, if you banish the Goddess fusion summon of the Xeno, then you can special summon back the Goddess if you would like to. Otherwise, you can always bring back the Jaza, and the Jaza will get you follow-up during your next turn, which is really nice because that means that you can save the copy of Baphomet for the end phase. But then you also have the Lacrima Lacrima in graveyard, which gives you even more follow-up after having the Xeno alongside the Caesar and the Goddess in hand before you even get to any of the stuff in your graveyard. Now, with all of the combos out of the way, the most important thing here is the package that we're using for the Hecaton stuff. We only have 7 main deck monsters, and the reason there's 2 Gigas over the other ones is because I feel like it does give you the best chance at getting another monster, and that could depend on the format. Sometimes there will be decks with a lot of monsters rampant all over the format, and if that's the case, then of course you can choose to play the 2 Brias, because you'll have a higher chance to hit something from the hand. But I also feel like being able to snipe something from the deck, being able to excavate 3, get that knowledge was also important. You'll notice in the extra deck, we have the 2 copies of Jaza and the 1 copy of Xeno. We are only playing the 1 Tartarus. That is potentially up for change. I'm not quite sure about it yet, just because it seems that the best use it has is when it's added as part of your combo, as the Hecaton stuff here is really an engine. I will go over the other new cards that I haven't gone over momentarily. I just wanted to show off the Chimera list because people thought that you might have to play 60 if you played the Hecaton stuff, and I think that you can play 40 just fine, and on top of that, you don't even need to lock yourself into all the fusion summons when you can play the Fiendsmith stuff, getting locked by Baphomet so that you can go into your Caesar alongside have something like Jaza on one of your fusion spells, or even the Goddess, in order to get yourself extra interactions with your opponent. But anyways, I'm going to get onto the card by card here, as I showed all I wanted to for this deck list. The other one will have a little bit of difference, but we're going to start here with the 3 Ibel, the 3 copies of Apprentice, the 3 copies of Cornfield, the 1 copy of Lacrima, the 1 copy of Engraver, the 1 copy of Lurie, the 1 copy of the Tartarus, the 3 copies of Tractus, the 2 copies of Chimera Fusion, the 2 copies of Mirror Swordsman, the 1 copy of Chimera, or the 1 copy of Baphomet, the 3 copies of Claws, the 1 copy of Brias, the 1 copy of Goddess, the 2 copies of Gigas, all Charmy copies here. Then we have the 3 copies of Ash, we have the 3 copies of Droll to round out the main deck, then we have the 1 SP in the extra deck, the 1 Closed Moon, the 1 Sequentia, the 1 Requiem, the 1 Desiree, the 2 copies of the Jaza, the 1 copy of the Xeno. We then have the 1 Guardian Chimera, the 1 Chimera, the Illusion Magical Beast, the 1 copy of the Baphomet, the 2 copy of the Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts. We then have the 1 Necroquip and the 1 Caesar to round out the deck profile. Now, for the other version of the deck, I wanted to show that because Hecaton has the capabilities of being an engine, you can technically play the Fiendsmith as a Mina deck alongside the Hecaton cards in order to do something similar, where you can end on something like the Hecaton Jaza alongside Goddess or a counter trap, which again, the other counter trap is the Yad or the whatever it's called, and when your opponent activates a spell trap card and you control a Hecaton monster, negate the activation, and if you do destroy that card, then you can set it to your field. You can only activate 1 Yad per turn. And the other new card that I would like to talk about is Yadel. Reads, if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. You can only use each of the following effects of Yadel once per turn. You can reveal this card in your hand, shuffle it into the deck, then add 1 Hecaton spell trap from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Hecaton spell trap in your graveyard, set it. Now, the reason why I'm not playing this card alongside the counter traps is because it feels like you do open the Pandora's box into bricks. Unfortunately, you're not seeing as many cards that get you into your plays, and you're seeing more cards that happen to try to supplement the lack of end board pieces that the monsters have. And because of that, I felt it was better off as an engine. Now, obviously here, if you don't want to play the Snake Eyes or the Fiendsmith Azamina stuff, there is the Chimera stuff as mentioned before. I was looking around into the Despia stuff, but I just feel that this locks itself into fusions a lot harder than the Chimera deck does, and because of that, it's harder to make use of Jaza as link material and things like that, so I just didn't feel it was worth it. Because you're playing the Diabell Star here, this becomes an option in order to go into your Dragoon. You'll also see that we're not on the Zeno or the Fusion spell in this build, just because this one is meant to take advantage of the extra bodies that you get off of the engine, and just continue to link off from there. With all of that out of the way, I'm just going to get onto the deck profile to wrap this one up, and we have the 3 Nightmare Apprentice, the 3 Ebel, the 3 copies of the Diabell, the 3 copies of the Wanted, the 1 copy of the Sacred Azamina, Athena, the 1 copy of the Deception, the 1 copy of Brius, the 1 copy of the Lupus, the 3 copies of Izuna, the 1 copy of Goddess, the 2 copies of Gigas, the 1 Luri, the 1 Lacrima, the 1 Engraver, the 3 copies of Tractus, the 3 Drolls, the 3 copies of Ash, and then we have the 6 Charmies. Finally, onto the extra deck, we have the Gorgon, the 1 Close Moon, the 1 SP, IP, Dark and Lino, which are actually very interesting cards in this deck because it means that you get to special summon cards that would be owned by your opponent. But then we have the 1 copy of the Sequentia, we then have the 1 copy of Requiem, we then have the 1 Caesar, we then have the 1 Desiree, the 2 copies of the Jaza, the 1 copy of the Sylvia, the 1 copy of the Murcielago, and the 1 copy of Necroquip to round out the deck profile. Anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any suggestions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.